for joining me for another edition of this old Gibson. This one's kind of special. I'm going to dust it off and do a little work on it today. It's a J-200 Montana Special Koa. Oh baby, look at all that abalone. Only 30 some of these were made, and this is number 25 of 36. Let's get to work. So this one's from 1993. It's serial number 93133010. And it has this abalone top border, abalone sound hole ring inlays on the bridge, and fretboard, all abalone. And boy, is she nice with the LR bag system that I installed a few years back. Very cool. Figured koa wood from Hawaii with a nice tobacco burst. It's got a mahogany neck with a center strip that's either koa or walnut. It also has a black painted headstock. These are the stair steps. There's no way you can read this serial number from this. I mean, that is a little overpainted. They went a little heavy-handed. So the reason my customer got this one in particular, it was made on his birthday. Not his date of birth, the year or anything, but that's his birthday, November 25th. Kind of cool. Let's see what kind of problems it had. So he said it's not playing in tune as good as usual anymore. He wants me to do my regular annual kind of fret resurfacing and check up on it and restring. I noticed that G-string getting caught up at the nut. So let's take a look at that first, see if we can smooth that slot down. So I came in to look at the diameter of the string, and it's about 24 thou. I'm going to take a diamond nut slotting file. This is the Music Nomad file, and it's in this new Luth brush thing that was 3D printed by Buck in San Diego. He was printing these out, so I asked him to if I could buy a set, and he gladly sold me a set and shipped it right out. I had it the same week. So that took care of that problem. Let's see if any of the other strings are making creaky sounds. Those ones feel smooth. I remember I made this nut a year or two ago. For whatever reason, the G string got a little sticky, but it's all good now. So what happens as you play it, you know, the strings dive down into they dent the tops of the frets and they flatten out a little bit, and it causes it to sound a little out of tune as you're chording. Up here at the first, yeah, there. So we'll just do a little light recrowning and polishing, restring, and get her back into the lineup. It's always interesting to see what scale length Gibson is putting on these things. The specs show it as a 25.5 long scale, like a Fender, but it isn't. According to these Music Nomad things here, this is the Fender 25.5. It does not fit. It's too long. But the Martin 25.34 is an exact fit. So don't believe everything they tell you, because I don't know if they just exaggerate or have their own nomenclature for stuff, but it ain't what they say. So let's go with this Martin 25.34 inches. I think the worst fret of all of them is right there on the first fret, B string. I'm not going to take any height off the fret. Just going to hit the sides and bring the two sides together again. Kind of diminish that dent. We're not done yet. I've got a couple more things to do. This is a 150 grit offset diamond crowning file from Stu Mac. Let's do about the first 7 frets. Doesn't look like he plays much near the 12th fret. Seem to be nowhere at all up there. Thank God for the Music Nomad fret shields. I'd be spending a lot of money on tape if it wasn't for these things. These will last a lifetime. Made out of stainless steel. I hit the frets with some 150 grit, 220 grit. I'll make my way down the full length of the board. Go to 320 grit. Make it all the way to the body joint. Next I'll use the maroon Scotch-Brite pad. And I use the Scotch-Brite pad over the wood and fret. Another reason I don't like using tape. This is my opportunity to really spruce up the fretboard. Can't be taking tape on and off to do this. Now I'll continue on with the 400 grit wet sandpaper from Stu Mac on my scrub block. The scrub block is basically a piece of stair tread. It's a bull nose. It's a 1-inch piece of lumber. A piece of pine. You can buy a whole piece of stair tread over at the Home Depot. Cut it up into little pieces. Put a little piece of foam on in between that and the sandpaper, and get yourself a nice scrub block. Back and forth along with the grain of the wood. Each crown will be the same shape. I'll go 600, 800, 1000. I'm turning the sandpaper to make sure I have a clean spot on it, or a fresh, gritty piece. Do 1000 grit. Then I hit it with the gray Scotch-Brite. Then I'll move on to 1200 grit. Yeah, I don't know what it is with tape. People just love using all that tape. I have to take out the trash like every other week. It's probably like landfills just filled with tape. All these tape-happy people out here. And last I do 2000 grit. I did 1500 and 2000, and then I go 4/0 steel wool against the grain of the wood. I do this along the length of the frets. All 20 of them. And then we can start cleaning up. I can't take my gloves off yet, though. First I'll vacuum. And I'll make sure to get the fret dust from under the neck rest. That can scratch up the lacquer if you leave fret dust down there. I'll clean it up with a little bit of naphtha. You can use the Ronsonol lighter fluid, that's what I use. Down to the smoke shop. And I think I'll hydrate the board with Howard's Feed and Wax. Gotta feed that rosewood. Gets dry this time of year. Now I noticed a bunch of gook all over the lacquer. Like you've been spilling some beers and honky tonks on this baby. I used the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. Just give it a quick little rub down. Get some of this schmutz out of the little crevice. We'll use a Viva paper towel to buff it out. Just like that. It's good as new. Fresh and so clean, clean, fresh and so clean. This old Duracell's about ready to be replaced. I have a Rayovac. 9 volts DC power. I noticed my nut job, the glue disintegrated over the last year or so. So I'll use a little Tight Bond Original down in the nut slot. See if I can keep her in place this time. I don't like to permanently glue it in with epoxy or super glue. It's held in there pretty much with friction. I just want to make sure it doesn't fall out when he changes his strings. These Gibson 12 through 53 look good. 80-20 bronze. It's a good choice for this guitar because it's got a big, dark sound to it. And these are the brightest strings you can get. 80-20s. After 80-20s, you can go to nickel bronze if you don't want them as bright. And then phosphor bronze is the third from the brightest. After that, you got something called flat tops and gypsy jazz and silken steel, if you like that really mellow sound. Well, right there, what I did is I bent the ball. You got to bend your balls. That way the ball doesn't end up on the tip of the pin. There's nothing worse than your ball ending up on the tip of the pin. For the posts, I wrapped the strings once over and twice under. I also bend the excess string length up towards the ceiling so it doesn't whip around and slice me in the finger. So once over, once under. Twice under. It's always once over, twice under. Except when I get up to the D and G and up, I go maybe 3, 4, 5 under. So I go through, bend it up towards the ceiling, once over, and wind the rest under. No one gets cut. And the headstock doesn't get scratched. Put it through, S shape, up towards the ceiling, once over, balance goes under. No one gets whipped. I hate getting whipped. Once again, through, S shape, towards the ceiling, once over, the balance goes under. Here comes a kitty. Thanks for sticking around and hanging out with me till the end. I appreciate all the shares and likes and subscriptions. You guys really keep me going.